YouTube chat. We are back once again. We are back. Today we got a video. Why Brazil stopped being scary. The death of Jogo Bonita. Now, in case y'all been living under a rock, the World Cup is this month. And I'm rooting for Brazil. I'm just letting y'all know. I'm going for Brazil. Even though they don't have the same great squad as they used to, I root for them every World Cup. I can't just switch up on my team right now. Like, no, come on, bro. Yeah, I've been rooting for Brazil since 2014 World Cup. That's my first ever World Cup I ever watched in my life. So, yeah, I'm not going to just switch up on them right now. But what happened to Brazil, though? Like, can we just have a serious talk, bro? What happened to Brazil? Because they used to be so scary, bro. And then it's just like, now it's just like they got, I don't know, man. But let's check it out. We'll see what this video got to say. Let's do it.
July 8th, 2014. This isn't a scoreboard. It's a massacre.
Yup,
The country that
I
taught the
remember
world
that.
how to play football has just conceded 7 goals at home in a World Cup semi-final. 58,000 people came to celebrate the 6th star. Instead, they're leaving in
Is that a
tears.
Germany and a Brazil
David
friendship?
Luiz was on his knees, sobbing during the match. Marcelo is walking like a ghost. This isn't just a defeat. It's a funeral. That night wasn't the moment Brazil died. It was killed slowly, quietly, starting long before anyone noticed.
Really?
Before you
Chapter
can
1.
understand why Brazil fell, you need to remember what Brazil was. Not just a good team, a phenomenon, a
Insanely.
philosophy that changed football forever. It's
Facts.
Sweden, 1958. A 17-year-old boy walks onto a World Cup pitch for the first time and scores a hat-trick in the semi-final. Then he scored 2 more goals in the final.
Yo.
Brazil become...
Is this the only Pele footage they got? I'm not even gonna lie to you. This is like my only second time I've seen a footage with Pele. Somebody
the
find that
world
footage.
champion. For the first time ever, that kid was Pelé. But that was just the beginning. 12 years later, Mexico, 1970, Brazil fielded the greatest football team has ever seen. Pelé, Jairzinho, Herson, Tostão, Carlos Alberto. They didn't just beat Italy in the
I ain't gonna lie, I
final.
don't know who
They
none of them players are.
dismantled them 4-1. Complete domination.
1970.
And the final goal, Carlos Alberto's strike, is still considered the most beautiful goal ever scored in a World Cup final.
What?
The ball moved through 8 players, 9 touches, 1 perfect finish. That was Jogo
Really?
Bonito. They were not just winning, but were winning with style, winning with
Yo,
artistry. Brazilian football used to be something to look forward to on your TV screen,
that's
a
true.
reason to believe football is the greatest sport ever.
That is true. Now, I will say, bro, me personally, bro, if I was playing 1970, bro, I seen like a couple fixture and he's just like, bro, if I was playing back then, oh my gosh. No offense to Pele, he's obviously a legend, but I would have had a hat trick in that final too, bro. 1958, bro. 1958, I would deadass have a hat trick in that final, bro. Everything I do, they would be woo, woo, bro. They would be thinking I'm some kind of witchcraft or something, bro. Cause I'll be just dribbling through everybody like this, Because mind you, bro, back then they didn't even know how to play proper defense. They just ran at the ball and just tried to tackle them, bro. I'll be nutmegging all 11 players on the field, including the goalkeeper. Facts.
Beyond
I'm
the
just
playing
saying.
style, here's what made Brazil different from every other football power in history. It wasn't just the talent, it was where the talent came from. Pelé learned to play barefoot on dirt. Ronaldinho grew up dribbling on broken concrete in the favelas of Porto Alegre. Ronaldo survived the streets of Rio, where you either learned to beat 5 defenders or you didn't play at all.
Facts.
Jogo Bonito wasn't coached. It wasn't designed in academies with training cones and tactical boards. It was born in struggle, in survival. On the streets, you had no space, no time, no rules. You were forced to create, forced to improvise. And if you couldn't dribble
That's
past
facts.
3 players in a phone booth, you lost the ball and sat out. That environment, though raw, unstructured, merciless, produced players who saw football differently than everyone else. They didn't just play the game, they bent it to their will. Which brings us to the 2002 World Cup, which, to date, many still consider the peak of Brazilian football, the absolute zenith. Ronaldo scored 8 goals in the tournament, winning the Golden Boot. Rivaldo orchestrates every attack. And Ronaldinho, in the quarter-final against England, the match is tied 1-1. Ronaldinho stands over a free kick from 40 yards out. Everyone expects a cross. He shoots. The ball floats, dips, arcs over David Seaman like it's mocking gravity itself.
Bro, you know how hard that is?
2-1.
There's only 3 players in the world that could make a free kick like that. Messi, Ronaldinho, and me.
England is stunned.
Only those 3 players can make a free kick like that.
Brazil wins the 5th star, the only country to have ever won 5 World Cups. At the time, Ronaldinho was 21 years old.
Damn.
He trained his entire life in Brazil. Rivaldo didn't move to Europe until he was 24, already a complete player, already a man. They weren't products of European academies molding raw talent. They were Brazilians who arrived in Europe fully formed, carrying the streets in their DNA.
Facts.
When they walked onto a World Cup pitch, opponents didn't just respect them, they feared them. That was the last time Brazil made the world hold its breath. The last time Jogo Bonito wasn't just alive, it was unstoppable. But 2002 wasn't just the peak, it was the end. Since winning that 5th World Cup, Brazil has competed in 5 more tournaments, but hasn't beaten a European team in a World Cup knockout match in over 20 years.
What?
That's not bad luck. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And the reason that pattern exists doesn't start with tactics, managers, or bad draws. It starts with something that has been rotting from the inside for years before anyone notices. Something that would eventually kill the very identity Brazil had spent a century building.
The crack.
The decline of the Jogo Bonito didn't announce itself. It happened quietly, invisibly, one decision at a time. And by the time anyone noticed, the damage was already done. Germany, 2006. Brazil faces France in the quarter-final. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Kaká, 3 of the best players on the planet, all on the same pitch. Yet France wins 1-0. Zidane dominates. Brazil goes home. 4 years later, in South Africa, 2010, quarter-final again. This time, it's the Netherlands. Wesley Sneijder scores early. Felipe Melo gets himself sent off. Netherlands 2,
y'all know about that
Brazil
Inter Milan
1.
Sneijder, bro. That's a elite pull right there.
Same round, different European executioner. A pattern was forming, but nobody wanted to name it yet. Brazilian kids stopped playing in the streets. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, year after year, the dirt fields disappeared. The favela games moved indoors. Academies replaced chaos. Parents wanted structure, clubs wanted control, coaches wanted discipline, and structure kills creativity. On the streets, you were forced to improvise. If you couldn't dribble past 3 defenders in a hallway, you lost the ball and sat out. In academies, you learn positions, systems, tactical discipline. You learn to obey.
Bro, that's actually crazy now that I'm thinking about that. It's really true. Because if you realize nowadays, bro, and I feel like one of the big main reasons of this is because of like Pep Guardiola and how he plays football. He manages and his players and all of that. Bro, they're taught to obey for real. Like nowadays, bro, if you do one skill move, you're probably getting subbed out the game. It don't matter if you be your player, except if you're somebody like Yamal or somebody like that. But bro, players don't even be doing skill moves more. It's like the coaches, like, they don't tell them to, yo, go have fun before the game. They just tell them, hey, get on that field and make sure you win. If you don't win, I'm going to sell you. It's like, that's what they tell him. Because, bro, there's no way you tell their players to have fun and they're a winger turning back and passing the ball back, bro. There's just no way. Like, it's sad, bro. Like, imagine football becomes robotic, like, in the future. It's probably going to happen in the near future, too, because we already see how they play right now.
Ronaldinho's game, the elastico, the no-look passes, The audacity to try things that shouldn't work.
Bro, my bad for pausing, by the way, last time. But, bro, Ronaldinho, I molded my game off Ronaldinho. Players like Ronaldinho, David Beckham, De Bruyne, because I was a midfielder slash right back. Dani Alves, Marcelo, bro. I always molded my game off players like that because they were always so skillful and just so fun to watch play. And I never wanted to be the type of player to just be in the field and just passing the ball. Anytime you get the ball, you just pass it and just none exciting with it. Just like some lame, you know? So, bro, I always molded my game off those players. Messi too. Dribble through tight spaces and all of that, bro. I always been doing that because it just makes the game more exciting to watch instead of just watching somebody just keep passing, boring, and then people be like, "Oh, you watch football? That's so boring, bro." Because they don't watch the actual football, bro. They watch what? I don't even know what that's called, bro.
That wasn't taught in a training session. That was born on dirt, barefoot, with 10 kids and 1 ball. Now look at Vinicius Jr. Spectacular player, explosive, devastating in transition. But his football is European, fast, direct, clinical. He's a world-class athlete who happens to be Brazilian.
Yeah.
Not a Brazilian artist playing in Europe.
Yeah.
Do you see the difference? Brazil stopped producing magicians. They started producing elite athletes who could only run, pass, and be agile. And it wasn't just what was happening in Brazil. It was what was happening to Brazilian kids the moment they showed talent.
Really?
Europe stopped waiting for Brazilians to mature. Vinicius signed with Real Madrid at 18, Rodrigo at 18, Endrick at 16, before he'd even played a full season of professional football. Compare that to the 2002 generation. Ronaldinho moved to PSG at 21, already fully formed. Kaká joined AC Milan at 21 after winning the Copa Libertadores with Sao Paulo. Rivaldo didn't leave Brazil until he was 24. They had malizia, street cunning, the instinct to survive chaos and turn it into art. When Ronaldinho arrived at Barcelona, he was already Ronaldinho. He had his style, his tricks, his rhythm. Europe didn't shape him, they just gave him a bigger stage. When Vinicius arrived at Real Madrid, he was raw material, and Madrid molded him into a Galactico. Today, he is fast, efficient, devastating, but not exactly in the Brazilian style. And then that's where they went. Before 2010, Brazilian stars went to Serie A or La Liga, leagues that valued technique, patience, creativity. But today, most go to the Premier League, the fastest league in the world, the most physical, the most direct, and it's remaking Brazilian football in its image. Brazil's 2002 midfield: Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Juninho, Pernambucano. Juninho scored 54 free-kick goals in his career.
Damn.
54. He learned in Brazil, perfected it in France. Brazil's 2026 midfield: Bruno Guimarães, Douglas Luiz, Casemiro, Andre Santos, Lucas Paqueta, all Premier League players, all elite athletes. Bruno Guimarães runs more than any Brazilian midfielder in history. But the free kick goals between them in the last 3 years,
in the history?
0. Brazil no longer has a midfield that thinks. It has a midfield that runs. And running doesn't win World Cups against Europe anymore. Not when Europe has better athletes and better systems. This is what was rotting inside Brazil between 2002 and 2014. The streets went silent. The kids left too young. The Premier League turned playmakers into workhorses.
I wouldn't say 2014, 2002 to 2014 because, bro, this gameplay that you're showing, bro, is recent, 2025, 2026. 2014, Brazil were actually very fun to watch with David Luiz, Neymar. Bro, that Neymar was going crazy. I remember that World Cup when they injured him, bro. He was going crazy. The whole Brazil team was playing good too, up until Neymar got injured. So I wouldn't say I would say after that, then yeah, for sure. But 2014, nah, I wouldn't say all that.
And the generation that was supposed to bring the 6th star home, they were already half European, before they ever wore the yellow shirt. But in 2014, none of this was obvious yet. Brazil was hosting the World Cup for the first time in 64 years. Neymar had just signed with Barcelona. The entire country believed this was destiny. Revenge for 1950. The sixth star. History repeating itself. What they didn't know was that the Brazil walking onto that pitch wasn't the Brazil of 2002. It was something else entirely. And Germany was about to expose exactly what that meant.
The funeral, chapter 3.
The year is 2014. Brazil hosts the World Cup for the first time in 64 years. The entire country has been waiting for this moment since 1950. Since the Maracanazo, since 200,000 people watched Uruguay rip their hearts out in their own stadium. This is redemption, this is destiny, this is the sixth star. And leading them, Neymar, 22 years old, Barcelona's newest signing, Ronaldinho's heir, the boy who still carries a trace of Jogo Bonita in his feet. In the first game, Brazil wins 3-1 against Croatia. Neymar scores.
I remember
then
that goal.
They beat Cameroon 4-1. Neymar scores twice. The dream is alive. But in the round of 16 against Chile, something cracks. The match goes to penalties. Brazil survives, barely. And then the cameras find Thiago Silva, Brazil's captain, sobbing uncontrollably after the final kick. Not from joy, from relief. This is the first sign. Brazil no longer has the DNA of champions. They're surviving on hope, not dominance. But nobody wanted to see it, not yet. Because Brazil still had Neymar. And as long as they had Neymar, they had a chance.
Facts.
What happened in the quarterfinal would test that belief in the cruelest way imaginable. Quarterfinal, Colombia.
Don't even
July
remind me,
4th,
bro.
2014.
I'm still sick
Neymar
about
shines
this.
yet again. A curling free kick into the top corner. Pure technique.
Don't even remind
Pure
me.
Brazilian magic. Brazil 2, Colombia 1. Semi-final secured. But in the 86th minute, Juan Camilo Zuniga's knee drives into Neymar's back. Fractured vertebra. Tournament over. Brazil's last thread connecting them to the old magic
Bro, it
was carried
almost
off on a
paralyzed him
stretcher.
for life, too.
But that's not the worst of it. Thiago Silva picks up a yellow card in the same match, suspended for the semi-final. Brazil reaches the semi-final without their star, without their captain, without their soul. But here's the crazy part. The opponent this time was Germany. A machine. Clinical, ruthless, everything Brazil used to beat through artistry and chaos. And on July 8th, 58,000 Brazilians would pack into the Mineirão Stadium, believing fate would carry them through. What they didn't know was that fate had already abandoned them years ago. July 8th, 2014. Belo Horizonte, the Mineirão Stadium. 58,000 Brazilians, yellow shirts, flags, prayers. Brazil walks out wearing Neymar's number 10 on their shirts. The anthem plays. David Luiz cries. The camera stays on his face longer than it should. The entire nation believes this is destiny. This is for Neymar. This is for 1950. This is history correcting itself. Kickoff. Minute 11. Thomas Müller, corner kick, unmarked at the back post. 1-0. The stadium goes quiet, just for a second. Then the dam breaks. Minute 23. Miroslav Klose. 2-0. Minute 24. Tony Cruz. 3-0.
Just keep pouring them on,
Minute
bro.
26. Cruz again. 4-0. Minute 29. Sami Khedira. 5-0. In less than 30 minutes, Brazil conceded 5 goals. The cameras find the faces in the crowd. A man sobbing into his hands, his face buried. Fans leaving. Not booing. Not angry. Just broken. David Luiz collapses to his knees in the center circle. Not at the final whistle. During the game, while it's still happening, Marcelo walks like he's forgotten where he is. No fight. No fire. Just emptiness. Germany scores 2 more in the second half. The stadium is barely half full by then. Final whistle. 7-1. This isn't a football match. It's an execution. But what nobody understood that night, not the players sobbing on the pitch, not the fans walking out in tears, not the world watching in shock, was that the 7-1 didn't kill Jogo Bonito.
Bro,
It
killed
just
Brazil.
revealed the corpse. Because what died in Belo Horizonte wasn't Brazil's tactics, formation, or even their confidence. What died was the last illusion that you could still win a World Cup the Brazilian way. For a century, Brazil had played football like no one else. 11 players, one ball, no rigid tactics, no fixed systems, just creativity, chaos, and pure instinct. You could field 11 Brazilians who'd never
I wouldn't
trained
say
together,
that. Just
give them 90
pure
minutes,
chaos, bro.
and watch them win through sheer artistry.
They still had talent.
That was Jogo Bonito. That was Brazil. But in 2014, that Brazil no longer existed. The players on the pitch had been raised in academies, not streets, trained with systems, not survival, taught to execute tactics, not create magic. They were Brazilians by birth, but European by education. And when the pressure came, when Neymar wasn't there to carry them, when Silva wasn't there to lead them, they had nothing to fall back on.
Yep.
They had tactics, formations, plans.
Bro, I know it's 12 years later, but is it too late to say that this Germany win don't count? Because, bro, I know they went on to win the World Cup that year, but is it too late to say that it doesn't count, bro? Because to be fair, bro, Brazil didn't have Neymar, and they obviously didn't have their captain, Thiago Silva, the best defender, one of the best top 5, top 3 defenders in the world at that time. Bro, is it fair to just say, yo, that doesn't count? Y'all agree with me, right?
And when Germany ripped those plans apart in 18 minutes, Brazil had no answer. Because they'd forgotten how to play without a script. The entire world watched Brazil get dismantled on live television, and the narrative was immediate. Fluke. Aberration. A tragic accident caused by Neymar's absence. But the numbers that followed would tell a different, far more brutal story. After the 7-1, Brazil told themselves it was trauma, a broken moment caused by losing Neymar and Silva at the worst possible time, an aberration, a nightmare that would fade once the wounds healed. Surely, with time, Brazil would return to being Brazil. They didn't. Russia, 2018. 4 years later, Neymar is back. Coutinho,
Coutinho!
Jesus,
Top 5
William,
favorite player of all
talent
time.
everywhere. The squad that was supposed to erase the memory of Belo Horizonte. Quarter-final, Belgium. Belgium won 2-1. Eliminated. Quarter-final, again. Same round. Different European executioner. The pattern was forming. But Brazil told itself it was just bad luck. Just one more unlucky draw. 4 years later, in Qatar, they would run out of excuses. Qatar, 2022. Brazil arrives with the most talented squad they'd fielded since 2002. Neymar, Vinicius, Richarlison, Casemiro, Alisson. World-class players.
Bro,
in
I would
every
not say that
position.
2022 team.
They dominate the
Bro,
group stage.
come on. It's disrespectful. Comparing this team to the 2002 team with so much aura, bro. Nah, that's disrespectful, bro. Nah. The closest to that 2002 team was that 2014 Brazil team. Or maybe 2018. 2018 had a lot of aura too. Bro, 2022 mud. Come on, bro. No.
4
Stop.
goals against South Korea in the round of 16. Dancing celebrations.
I remember that.
Samba football is back. The world starts believing again. Maybe 2014 really was just a nightmare. Maybe this is the redemption story. Then in the quarter-final, they faced Croatia. The match goes to extra time, 0-0, after 90 minutes. Then, in the 105th minute, Neymar scores. A beautiful solo goal. Dribbles past the goalkeeper, slots it home. 1-0. Brazil leads, 5 minutes from the semi-final. The 6th star is within reach. Then Croatia equalizes. Bruno Petkovic, 1-1. Penalties.
Remember that.
Rodrigo misses. Marquinhos hits the post. Croatia wins the shootout. Brazil goes home. This was 3 World Cups, 3 European opponents, 3 eliminations, all in the quarter-finals. But the pattern didn't just exist at World Cups. Back home, something even more disturbing was happening. The numbers told a story Brazil didn't want to hear. Since 2002, Brazil has competed in 5 World Cups. Brazil hasn't beaten a European team in a World Cup knockout match in over 20 years.
Damn.
And the disease was spreading beyond World Cups.
That's crazy.
September 2025. Brazil finishes 5th in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying, the worst position in their entire history, below Ecuador, below Venezuela at one point during the campaign.
Oh yeah, I remember.
On the final match day, they lost 1-0 to Bolivia, a team Brazil used to beat without thinking. But the most painful moment came a year earlier, November 2023. The Maracanã World Cup qualifier, Brazil versus Argentina. Argentina defeated Brazil 1-0. That was Brazil's first home defeat in World Cup qualifying, ever. In 90 years of football, across generations, across World Cups, across dictatorships and democracies, Brazil had never lost a World Cup qualifier.
Bro, if you do something like that in a game today, bro, you're getting subbed out the game and benched for the next 5 games, bro. It don't even matter who you are on the field. You're getting benched for the next 5 games. It's like they don't even like to see fun stuff anymore, bro.
Brazil had never lost a World Cup qualifier at home until that night. The Maracanã, the cathedral of Brazilian football, the fortress where Pelé played, where Garrincha danced, where Ronaldo and Ronaldinho made magic, was violated by Argentina. Respect was gone. Fear was gone.
To be fair,
Brazil
that
had
Argentina
become
team was
ordinary,
really good, though.
So Brazil tried something desperate. If the players couldn't be Brazilian anymore, maybe the right coach could teach them how to be Brazilian. In 2023, Fernando Diniz becomes head coach. His philosophy? Return to the past. Short passes, relational play, positional fluidity. Forget Europe's obsession with structure and pressing. Play like Brazil used to play. Revive Jogo Bonito. For a moment, it looked promising. The football was more fluid, more creative, the kind of patterns that made you remember what Brazil used to be. Then
How the hell do you
reality
miss that?
arrived.
Yo.
Losses to Argentina, Colombia, Paraguay, Uruguay. The players couldn't execute what Diniz was asking them to do. Not because they lacked talent,
They're not
but
programmed
because
like
they'd
that.
never learned to play that way. You can't teach Jogo Bonito to a generation raised in academies. You can't install street instincts into players who learned football from tactical boards, GPS trackers, and pressing triggers. Diniz
GPS
was
tracker
fired
is
after 10
crazy.
months. Brazil then begged Carlo Ancelotti to save them. The most decorated manager in European history, 5 Champions League titles, a man who'd won everywhere he went. If anyone could fix Brazil, it was him. He arrived in 2024. His first victory, Paraguay, 1-0, scraped by. His first major test, Bolivia away, September 2025. Brazil loses 1-0. Even Ancelotti, the man who turned Real Madrid into a machine, who won 3 Champions Leagues in 5 years, couldn't fix Brazil. The truth is, the problem wasn't tactics. It wasn't the manager. The problem was that the players Brazil was producing no longer knew how to be Brazilian.
He kind of reaching right there. He said Carlo Ancelotti can't fix Brazil. I disagree, bro. I feel like with a good coach, good chemistry, but obviously they cannot go back to how it was before. They're not programmed like that. But our Ancelotti just been there for 2 years, bro. We got to see what they do in the World Cup, and then we can talk after that.
Streets that taught Pelé to dribble are silent now. The favelas that forged Ronaldinho are gone. The chaos that gave rise to Jogo Bonito has been replaced by order, structure, and European efficiency. Brazil still produces world-class players. Vinicius, Rodrigo, Rafinha, among the best in Europe. But watch them play for their clubs. Fast, direct, clinical, efficient. They're elite athletes who happen to be Brazilian, not Brazilian artists playing in Europe.
Bro,
And that distinction...
you know what's crazy, bro? Yamal is more of a Brazilian player than most of these Brazilian players. Yamal is more of a Brazilian player than 99% of these Brazilian players, and that's facts. That's facts. Just the way he plays alone, that's facts. I've never seen Martinelli do a skill like what Yamal. like what Yamal be doing. Never.
Is everything. For a century, Brazil didn't need tactics to win. You could field 11 Brazilians who'd never met, give them a ball, and watch them dismantle opponents through pure improvisation. That was the Brazilian way. That was Jogo Bonito. But modern football doesn't reward chaos. It rewards structure, pressing, transition, tactical discipline. Europe perfected that formula. And Brazil's players, raised in European-style academies and shaped by European clubs, learned to play the European way. They became faster, stronger, more disciplined, but they stopped being Brazilian. And the most brutal proof came when Brazil tried to go back. When Diniz asked them to play like their grandfathers did. They couldn't. The muscle memory was gone. The instinct had never been installed. Jogo Bonito wasn't just dying. It was already dead. And nobody had noticed until they tried to resurrect it. Jogo Bonito wasn't murdered. It wasn't stolen by one bad manager, one humiliating defeat, or one generation of players who forgot how to dribble. It disappeared because the world it came from no longer exists. The dirt fields where Pelé learned to play are paved over now. The favela games where Ronaldinho developed his touch have moved indoors. The chaos that forced young players to improvise or lose the ball has been replaced by academies, coaches, and structure. Brazil still produces stars, but in the European way. They sent their kids to academies instead of the streets. They exported teenagers to Europe at 16 instead of 24.
That sounds crazy.
They adopted European systems, European training, and European football. And in doing so, they stopped being Brazil. The tragedy isn't that Brazil changed. Every country adapts.
The GOAT
Every
Anthony.
generation evolves. The tragedy is that Brazil changed into everyone else except themselves. Jogo Bonito didn't die in 90 minutes. It died across generations, and it's probably never coming back.
Damn. Yo, that is crazy. It's very interesting video, by the way. Hey, let me know, do y'all think that Brazil will never get that Jogo Bonita playstyle? Or do y'all think they just need a certain player to come back and help them to play like that? Let me know what y'all think, man.